we would truly treat them like mom and dad or grandma and grandpa. I mean, thinking in that way allowed us to be successful because we cared deeply about the individual that we served. And in fact, the experiences that we gained from that, I mean, these individuals would send us pictures of themselves in the mail, right? Because we built such a deep connection with them.
Wow.
And they would send us letters, they would send us pictures of themselves. We were one of the first in the industry, in my experience of talking to many different people, to utilize a form of Zoom to connect with people. It wasn't just a phone call. In fact, we would have them go to a site, which is still active today, but not as highly active, as a company called Join.me. And we would send them a code, and they would join our screen, and we would have cameras on our monitors, and we would show this connection. It was like a Zoom meeting, but it was just a one-way picture. It was a picture of us. They could never see us, and we wanted them to know who we were. And the other unique thing about that was when we showed them our screen, we had every one of our agents put a picture of themselves and their family on their screen.
Love that.
And so instantly there's a connection to say, oh, do you see my screen? Do you see my family here? Yeah, this is, Bobby Sue, and this is our dog, Chip, and this is my family. And instantly there became a connection with the individual on the other side of the phone, and they loved it.
Yeah.
I love this podcast, Matt, because we're talking to a very highly successful CEO that's on the cutting edge of saying, how do I intentionally create trust? How do I intentionally connect with people? And then he goes out and finds these unique ways to start connecting with people. I just think that's amazing, Brandon.
Yeah, and the other thing that's interesting is there are agents that do most of this business face-to-face, and they connect face-to-face, and we wanted to use technology to connect face-to-face, right? So we were able to do that. But things we didn't get away from is, writing a thank you note, right? Something that an agent that does on maybe a daily basis when they sell a new customer, they write them a thank you card and appreciate them for the business. We would still do that in our call center. We didn't want to ever have the feeling that we were a churn and burn agency. And that really helped us be successful because, as time went on, I had the unique opportunity to be part of like an advisory board in the insurance industry. And we would sit in these big, groups, advising each other and talking about the industry and talking about the changes. And one of the unique things is I was able to do what I did the same way that everyone in that room did. And none of them were a call center. And they asked the same questions, like, how did you do it? And I said, well, we have to build connection. We have to build loyalty. And we do that by face-to-face interactions, using thank you cards, and seeking referrals. Because when you did that, we would start to get our clients around the country to sell us or to give us to their friends and their family. And it just kind of snowballed from there.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about, I'm intrigued now because you grew from, let's say, agent one, you being CEO, and having to bring on additional agents. And I think at one point it grew well over 100 agents and employees in your organization. How did your recruiting change? Or I guess, how did you go to market to recruit agents, build this business, knowing that you have to be different, you have to connect?
So we recruited in two main ways. We were able to grow in about 4 years from agent one. I think our highest point of agents was about 75, and we had 110 employees. We had service staff. We had a whole model of how our company was ran. But recruiting agents, we did it in two ways. The first way is we knew that if we had successful agents in the industry or in our organization, them referring their friends and their family into our organization, those agents would stick and find success so much easier than kind of searching around the city to find agents. When we went to the city and had to find agents and use different tools to do so, we would primarily do, as time had changed, we started to do these interviews via Zoom. And you really could see the interaction, how they would be, just as how they would interact with a customer over the phone, right? And you start to see, hey, if they can interact over Zoom, they can interact over the phone. because face to face, sometimes people sell themselves differently face to face versus over the phone or via Zoom. And so we started to search and find ways to be unique, interview over the phone via Zoom, continue to offer up internal referral bonuses for every agent that was referred into our agency that we hired. And if they stuck for a period of time, there was like multiple bonuses that would come to them. And it started to build a culture of friends and family that people wanted to be a part of.
So, having agents myself in various businesses I've owned, I know that managing agents is very difficult. Walk me through what it's like managing senior, Medicare agents.
So managing agents in the senior space at times can be a challenge.
Yeah,
And there's like groups of individuals that fit in about three categories. Your first category are the individual agents that are just bought into this business.
yeah,
They are dedicated, they're loyal, they will do everything that you say because they want to find success. And then the next group is that they're most of the time they're loyal, but sometimes they get kind of lazy and they kind of work the system a little bit, figure out how they can manage the leads differently. And then you have the third group that doesn't try as hard, doesn't really try to perfect their skills. And out of the gate, in order to manage these agents, it was kind of challenging,
yeah.
right? Trying to figure out who is who and what category they fell into. But I think that the way that we found was most successful is we hired good managers. And it wasn't just me trying to manage and navigate these individuals. We had agents that were really wildly successful that knew this industry inside and out. And they had finally worked themselves to being promoted to an agent manager or a senior agent. And we heavily utilized those individuals to coach, to listen to calls, to figure out how they could, tweak their script. And it was a very educated process of how we educated and trained these agents to follow a script, to follow a timeline, to follow a process, to find success. And those who did that were successful.
Gotcha.
For those who, on that third tier, thought it would just come naturally easy to them, and they didn't find the success that they wanted, they didn't. Not many of those made it.
Yeah.
Brandon, can I focus on those three tiers for a minute? And then maybe you can differentiate, not necessarily between the tiers themselves, but what were the habits of the highly successful agents? What were the differentiators between that bottom tier or that third that was maybe a little bit more lazy? What did you observe?